Hey everyone, welcome back. And today we have an interesting and important question. So it's being repeated over the years. Okay, so just the sum of last two salary. Okay, so we have to find the sum of last two salaries. Okay, so how will you do that? So either going for roll up or scan. So we'll see today. So in this session, we'll see the coding and then ETL design. Okay, so if you're new to the channel, you can click on the link above. So please, watch through all the videos. Okay, in this list. Okay, playlist, so that you will get the practice of facing the interview questions. Okay, so this one is for typically is for a senior level. Okay, so I'll tell you why it's a senior level question. Okay, so why this one is not a junior level. Okay, so this one looks simple right from the use case, but the actual data. Okay, so let's see actual data. Okay, this is the actual data here. That if in this case sum of last two salary. Okay, so we'll pick up these two. What if you have to write a use case for you have to write a use case for for employees who now for which we have only two records. Okay, and even if you have, let's say, only one employee. Okay, so even for that, how will you write the use case? Okay, so in that use case. Okay, so for this one, just we have to deliver the same 500. For this one, it has to pick 600, 200, 800. For this employee, it has to pick 400 plus 500, 900. Okay, so we have to write a code for all these use cases. Okay, it has to satisfy everything. So that's why you cannot just put a roll up, and then you can write a condition and then you can do a summation. Okay, so you can't do that. So junior level, you like juniors or freshers, you guys will be wondering. Okay, so if you go for roll up, how can it pick last two? Okay, so that's why we are tagging this use case as senior level. Okay, so we'll solve this question today. So now recruiter expectation. Okay, so they expect, now what do they expect? Okay, so they expect aggregation. Okay, whether are you able to do the aggregation? You know, uh, this one is not just a sum. Okay, so let's say if this question is just a sum, then you would have opened a grid mode of rollup, and then you would have done the function, right? But this is not a just a sum. Okay, it's nothing but last, taking the last two salary. Okay, so we have to actually write a code. Okay, so write functions. We have to do init, and then we have to do roll up, and then finalize and everything. Okay, so we have to write proper code for this one. Okay, so you should know how to write the code and then how to specify the condition that will pick these two entries. Okay, last two entries eliminating the first one. Okay, how will you design that? So that they will check. Okay, so as a I think 4 plus or 5 plus, I think like most, because like 3 plus will be struggling in writing the roll up code, but you have to practice. Okay, so suppose if you are a 3 plus or 4 plus, practice writing the code. Okay, so practice think about logic and then practice the logic. Okay, so and then you can write it in you can write the roll up code. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so concept checklist, I would say, for this use case I'm going for roll up. Okay, so you guys, like, you can try it in scan and then let me know. Okay, so I will go for roll up. So here in roll up, let's say, okay, so you have to understand all the functions inside. Okay, so all the methods inside. So you have to understand writing the temporary record, initializing it, and then computing, doing the computation, and then finalizing it, and then if necessary doing the input select and output select. Okay, so all the functions involved in rollup you must know. Okay, so if you're watching this video now, if you're watching regularly, I think you guys will know. Okay, so if you are not sure on this one, I will just ping a link above. Okay, please do watch entire rollup playlist. Okay, so that might help you in cracking all the use cases related to rollup. So rollup is an important topic which should be considered by recruiter. Okay, so this is an important one, don't miss that. Okay, so this is our input data. Here in this use case we have for the, okay, so if we have to handle all these use case. Okay, all these three different use case. Okay, so we have to write a code. Okay, so my my ETL design is like I'm going for roll up. Okay, so in roll up, how will I, like, how am I going to write? Okay, so that's my question. Okay, so here I'll just do a logic thing. Okay, so what I will do is that I'll just write a roll up logic here. Okay, so first I'll write the roll logic, like, so that you will understand before I go to the code. Okay, I believe like true learning comes from someone teaching you. Okay, so that's why we are doing a video tutorial. Okay, so if I just write the code before like apart from, like, see, instead of doing the logic first, then it will be you'll be wondering. Okay, so first I'll write the logic. Okay, so first what I'll do is that first I just let's say if you're writing code in Python or other language. Okay, so what will you do? You just put a let some variable. Okay, let sum equal to 0. Okay, and then temporary variable equal to 0. Okay, and then what you do, you just you have to sum. Okay, you do the summation. Okay, so how will you do the sum of in dot salary. Okay, you will do the sum. Okay, so this will give you, for the first ID, it will give you 500, 300 plus 500 plus 400. Okay, so roll up logic, we will be using a key. Okay, so we'll be grouping with ID. Okay, so we have ID, name and salary, right? So for the first ID you will get the salary as 8 and 3 plus 8 and then 1200. Okay, so you will get 1200. Now I have to find the last two only. Okay, how will you do? Okay, so now we have to take one additional variable. Okay, so that I will assign it as you know initial variable. Okay, like you see, this one is very important. Okay, so first salary is nothing but your first entry, first 300. Okay, so first in a group, first salary, so first salary in a group, so that I will consider. Okay, so first salary in a group, so this will be useful in the at last, in the finals. Okay, at final. Okay, at final transform. See, I'm just writing this as a English logic. Let me, after this, when I write the code, it will be useful for you. Okay, see, always there are different, see, when I train juniors in my when I train juniors or when I train candidates, I do like this. Okay, so first I give them like a Python structure, and then I like, if you write a code in Abinitio, it will relate to that. Okay, so at finally, okay, let's say finally. Okay, so finally what you do is that you assign all the variables coming to the salary. What you do, out dot salary. Okay, so equal to. Okay, what you do, you take the sum. Okay, the sum, and then minus first salary. Okay, so this is for condition if count. Okay, if count is greater than 2. Okay, or else you give the same salary. Okay, which is that's whatever. Okay, in dot salary. Okay, or summation of salary thing. Okay, so some. Okay, so because if the count is greater than 2, count means count of ID. Okay, so for the first group we have three elements, right? So if it is greater than 2, then it has to pick the last two. Okay, otherwise it can pick the last two. Okay, what are available. Okay, so if it is 1, then it will give you 500. If it is 2, it will add up. Okay, 600 plus 200, 800. So it will give that. Okay, so this is the like proper logic. Okay, so hope you understand. I'll just write the code. Okay, so if you are having doubts still, I will write the code here, and then you will understand. Okay, properly. So let's just crack the code now. So first, let's say, see, when we consider variable. Okay, so this one, you just categorize this one in a temporary record. Okay, so in Abinitio we'll just categorize, right? So what I'll do, type temporary. I'll just assign a temporary record. Okay, so temporary record, let's say, and then here decimal, and I'll be assigning first salary. Let's copy that, and then I'll be assigning another variable called count, and then another variable called sum. Okay, so like this, see, whatever we have taken. Okay, so we have taken that one, and then I'm just ending this. Okay, so this one is complete. Okay, so we have just taken the variables. Okay, I'll just put a you know variables. Okay, temporary variables assignment. Okay, so now we have to initialize. Okay, initialize temporary variables. Okay, so for every groups to start, Okay, so we'll just tell Abinitio that when a group starts, these values should be started with whatever we are going to assign now. Okay, so for I'll just for the first salary it has to pick the first entry. Okay, so for the first salary it has to pick int salary. Okay, this is important. Okay, so it has to pick the first record always in each group. Okay, so that's important. And another thing is that for others, for others, sum equal to initially we will start with 0, right? So this one is done. Count. Okay, so count is initially 0. Okay, so these are fine. So this, I think these are understandable. Okay, so now the initialize is done. Okay, so this one is done. Assignment, declaring. Okay, so declaring is done. So declaring, and initializing, and then now we'll do the computation. So computation is pretty much easy. Okay, so roll up, you'll be pausing not only not only in flow. You will always for you are in addition to inflow, like you take in. Okay, you take the temp as well. Okay, temporary as well, because like we have used a temporary record, right? So you always consider water flows coming in. Okay, what are you taking, what are you taking, like what are you taking consideration. Okay, so begin here, and then the computation, I have to mainly first I have to calculate this summation. Okay, I'll do summation first. So here let me take this one. Okay, so let me take this sum, temp dot sum. Okay, now how will you do the sum? In dot salary. Okay, see, in grid mode people just do summation of in dot salary. Okay, but when you do it in expanded mode, as you know, this one we are doing it in expanded mode. Okay, so understand the difference between expanded mode and grid mode. Okay, so we are doing it in expanded mode. Now in expanded mode we have to write like this. Okay, so we have to consider the temporary variable and then add the salary. Okay, so each time when when the computation happens, it will run for all per group. It will run 3 times. Okay, for the first group it will take, okay, it will group the keys, and then all these 3 salaries will be added. Okay, so now summation is done. So now what we'll do, we'll just take it now, we'll just take a count. Okay, so first we'll complete the count as well. Sum done. Count is temp dot count plus 1. I'm just incrementing 1. Okay, for each row I'm just incrementing 1. So this will be 3 for first group. Okay, so first group it will be 3, and for the second group it will be 2. Okay, and for the third element, third id, it will be 1. Okay, so only 1 count. Okay, so now like we have the first salary. Okay, so this one is nothing but your first salary. Okay, that remains same. Okay, first remains same for the first thing. For the first group, the first salary, okay, the first salary remains same, which is nothing but 300. Okay, okay, so this one is done. End. Okay, so roll up is done. Okay, so for so for declaring is done, initialize is done, roll up is done. Okay, so now we'll come to the finalize part. Okay, just follow the logic here. Okay, so as we done the logic, right? The initializing and declaring is done, roll up computation is done, and then finalize. Okay, so when you write the, like, when you code this English logic, let's say Python or whatever coding logic. Okay, let's say coding logic. Okay, so this is a structure. Okay, coding logic structure. When you design a structure, you just put, okay, declare and initialize. Okay, and then you put computation, roll up computation. Okay, aggregation. Okay, you do aggregation here, and then you do finalize here. Okay, so now I think you'll get the idea. Okay, so we have written 2 functions, and third function to call roll up, and then fourth function we are going to write. Okay, so which is finalize now. So we are going to finalize that. Okay, so finalize, and then temp. Okay, so we are taking in temp records. Okay, we are considering that as well, and begin, end. Okay, so here I want the first 2 rows. Okay, which is same. out.id and in.id. Okay, you can put out.star, in.star as well. I'm just putting. Okay, so okay, now coming to the salary. Okay, so this one here, now see, here is the important part. Okay, while finalizing you can actually choose. Okay, choose how to write. Okay, so if you're writing for let's say if you're writing for this group, you can actually minus the first record. If you're writing for the second group, you can actually do nothing. Okay, just take these two rows. How will you find out? You just take the count. Okay, you will consider the count. So that's why we have given the count parameter. Okay, so in the finalize, I'm just considering a count. If count is greater than 0, then I need to minus the first salary. Okay, so I'll write the code here. Outer salary here, if okay, so temp, if if count is coming from temp. Okay, so always don't forget this temp. Okay, so temp class. Okay, so always don't forget this one. So it's like pretty much important. Okay, so count is coming from temporary record, right? So that one greater than 2. Okay, so if this is happening, then I'll be taking sum minus, and then I'll be taking first salary. Okay, this one. Else what I do, I'll just consider just sum. Okay, that's it. Okay, so this will give me outflow. Okay, so let's say a data outflow. Okay, data outflow after the roll up. Okay, so what will I get? I will get 1 3 and then 900. Okay, so 900 and then 2j 800, and then you have 3 Alex, whatever number we have given. Okay, so 500. So this is a proper coding structure. Okay, so take your time. Okay, so take your time to learn this. Okay, so all these 4 functions are important. Okay, so try to first when you get a use case like this. Okay, you have to think of all these use cases. Okay, I mean all the scenario. Okay, so when if we for this particular use case, we have to consider, you see, if there are 3 see 3 salaries, you can you can actually go with writing just writing just this one. You don't have to specify condition. But what happens if the other group has only 2 elements? Okay, 2 rows. So for that your code will not work. Okay, your code, if your code will actually minus this one, 600 minus 200 400. Okay, so that will be wrong. Okay, so that's why we have to think, and then you have to write the logic first. Okay, that's why you just build the coding logic first, and then you can just apply this in the code. This one, see, I used to train the candidates for the interview. Okay, so mainly for the interview people, you can follow this one. Okay, so so that's why, like, for the past few videos I'm just bringing out logic here. Okay, so this one you can call it as interview logic, because this coding part is what developer do like this. Okay, so developer, they used to write this code, but when it comes to interview, you have to break the developers code. See, normally developers, they will just tell this within a few within a few minutes. Okay, they won't go and tell this all this structure. Okay, so I'll just I'll just write the entry logic. Okay, in coming videos. Okay, so you just adapt to that. If you like this, okay, if you like this, you can ping the link up, you can mention it in the comment above. Okay, comment below. Okay, so that I will get to know whether can I can I maintain this in the coming videos, or can I straightly go to the code. Okay, because I believe is that you actually build something here. Okay, build some English logic like that. Okay, so you build something and then you have to convert that into code. Okay, so the code is the elaborative part here. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so hope you understood the entire problem and solution. So I'll just come up with another use case. Okay, so until then, bye bye.